And good morning, everybody. My name is Tony, and I am an addict and a member of Narcotics Anonymous in good standing, and a sponsor. I feel confined sitting down. And a sponsor for many years, and somebody that is sponsored, and a friend. Most of the people that I got involved with in a sponsorship situation have become my dear friends. And I learned that was taught in Narcotics Anonymous not to impose my will on anybody, but let people make experience their own life and their own destiny, rather than, no matter what, except if it's too severe. For instance, one of my guys, he went into Atlantic City and blew 20 grand. I told him, come over to the house. You got a problem. Oh, after 12 years. After 12 years, he became a degenerate gambler. After being a cocaine addict and finding recovery and having a family and becoming a businessman and joining up with the sane people, he had this problem. He couldn't handle any money like that. So when somebody asks you about sponsorship, it's a serious commitment on your part if you want to. Some people take it lightly. Some people are not available for the people that call. Some people are. Some people sponsor many, many people. 25. Some people told me they sponsor 25 people. Then you got to start calling yourself Dr. Jarecki. You know what I'm saying? Anything over 3 or 4 is your own ego. We find that people that do this, if they have relationships, they find that they're taking away from their relationship, and they're taking away from their lives. Of course, we can be there for people. It doesn't mean we're not going to be there for people. There's people in this room that I have spoken to and come to the conclusion that I'm in a battle for their lives because they can't stop using. Because drugs bring them down. And we don't have to be geniuses in 1997 to figure out if you smoke crack consistently, I don't think you'll be ready to take your GED test. I don't want to get off the subject. You know, the federal government made a survey, and they come to the conclusion if you smoke marijuana and drink alcohol to excess, more often than not, you'll pick up heroin and cocaine. Elementary. And they spend all this money on correction institutions and law enforcement and rehabilitation and incarceration, and they allow tons of the shit to come in. And we can safely assume if you bring 10 tons of cocaine into the Bronx or Queens or Jersey City, some of the citizens are going to get fucked up. Good and fucked up. My sponsor had the patience to guide me. In the beginning, you know, the word sponsor turned us off. Like it was like pigeon. They used that word pigeon. That turned us off. That was an AA term, by the way. We used coach, friend, be my guide, but it was sponsorship. And they took the time and they had the patience to guide us. They taught us things like humility. They taught us things like you don't have to have a gangster complex. Some of us were suffering from delusions of grandeur. We thought we were gangsters, but unfortunately it was very hard to be a dope addict and a cocaine addict and a gangster. Very difficult. It always interfered. And of course there were some methadone people on the methadone maintenance line waiting for their dosage and thinking they were Virgil Sollozzo. They were in self-deception and they thought that, you know, like this, hip, slick, and cool, all those fucking lies we tell ourselves. And then we start believing the lies because we have nobody around us to bring us out of the self-deception. This is where one addict helping another is without parallel comes into play. Because if left to your own devices, you'll begin to believe the stuff that you're thinking. And a lot of us here are capable of having a fucking group therapy session while driving alone down the highway. And answering your own self, answering your questions. You know what I mean? A couple of split personalities, all that. You know, it's going to take a whole battery of psychologists and psychiatrists to figure all this shit out. You know, about the therapy, I went to a therapist and I found out I hated my grandmother. She didn't give me any chocolate milk with the oatmeal cookies. And it doesn't matter how you do it. And it doesn't matter where you get the help. And we're not going to put ourselves up and say, this is the way you have to do it. Everybody does it in their own way, with a guideline. If you want to be a sponsor for somebody, ask you to be a sponsor, then you have to be very serious about it and take it on. And then expect to be called and expect for your time to be consumed and expect to give away. It's a part of a 9th step, too, by the way. A lot of people that are not here that we have to make amends to, then we make them in other ways. We give away the message, we be there for people, or we try to help people come on in. And the best thing to do, I've seen the most hopeless crack addicts and heroin addicts clean up in Narcotics Anonymous. And I've worked in different places, in the field and all that, and here's what they said in one of these places. They came to this conclusion. They said, gee, the people that go to the NA meetings stop using. Ain't that wonderful? And they come to that conclusion. And that's where it's at. It's about being with each other. It's about helping each other. It's about sponsorship. It's about being able to come out of yourself long enough. That's another thing it does for you. You come out of yourself long enough to be there for somebody. And then you forget about the petty things. I've seen friends of mine, I've visited friends of mine in hospitals that were dying of the virus, and I walked out of there without any problems. And they were trying to console me. I have to say that because it has bearing on what has transpired in the span of my recovery. In 1985, we didn't know anything about it, and then all of a sudden we started finding out just what we're up against. Now we know exactly what we're up against. And somebody said, what could we do? And they used to say in the old days it was an outside issue, but they don't say that anymore. Now they say we support the people. They're our people. And the virus goes along with addiction. And you can't separate it as much as you'd like to. So we have to be there for the people. In supportive role, okay? Try to understand. Although we have a difficulty understanding some of us. Some of us are not that progressed in our recovery where we could do that. Some of us are very self-centered still. Some of us are, so me, I want, I feel bad, me. It's about me. It's a selfish program. It's a selfish program. It's about me. I'm going for myself. No, it's not about that. It's about extending yourself to people. It's about being there for people. This is how we grew like this. I remember when there was one meeting in New York, nobody believed nothing. Everybody was talking all kind of stuff, and I went down there looking for the nurse's station. Where my head was at, they said in an NA meeting, I was in a stupor. I was in a drug-induced stupor, laced with alcohol, and, I think I took a few tabs of mescaline on the way down. There I was, I remember I was sitting up in San Francisco, I had a can of Dry Glow, paint. I was painting the roaches and watching them walk up the wall. Far fucking out. Psychedelic Ranger, yo, far out. I was in left field, so when they gave me the thing, if you think you have a problem with drugs, come to this basement. I went down there, I expected to have how do they stop using is what I said. First they said, none of these people are using. I said, really? How do they stop? And I looked around. I expected like a nurse's station or like to dispense some methadone. Some of the methadone. Hail Methadonians! That's the treatment. know the treatment, know the fucking struggle, what it's about. You see. Know what not to do. Know where not to go. Know who to be with. Well, shit, if you walk in a room and everybody's puffing lovely, you're going to pick up the fucking stem. We don't have to be a genius to figure none of that shit out. And if you're not willing, you're not going anywhere. It's the truth. You know, Jesus could come down and you'll still cop. That's where that's at. Getting back to sponsorship. I want to be brief. So my sponsor had the patience to deal with me and guide me. And he taught me things about forgiving other people for what they do to you, and then turn around and forgive yourself for some of the things you've done. To look at things the way you like them to turn out, not the way you feel they're going to turn out. Because remember, we have a built-in pessimistic mechanism, part of the addictive trait, going along with self-deception, self-centered, selfish, procrastination, immediate gratification, and ego thinking, who the fuck we are. Because we're hip, slick, and cool. So this is the emotional makeup of the addictive personality. So he taught me about being honest. He said, I had a friend of mine in the beginning, and at the meeting, he said to me, well, listen, I'm going to clean up, but I'm going to hijack a truck tonight. You think that's all right? It's not all right. Well, here's what happened. He went and did this. He was a hijack. He ended up doing another 7 years in a federal penitentiary. Now he's in Narcotics Anonymous, and he works in a delicatessen. He drives a compact car, and he's got a girlfriend who lives over the delicatessen. He's happy. He did half his life in the penitentiary, but, you know, this is what it took for him to learn. It takes what it takes for people to get where they have to go. We can't force anybody into recovery as much as we'd like to, as much as we want to impose our will on somebody else. We can't do that. We call that let go. To let go is to have. To let go of someone in a relationship is to have. Some of us take hostages. Some of us don't know how to handle ourselves with the opposite sex. That's another big one for us. That's a hard one. Some of us feel so inadequate that we have to control everything. And we feel if we don't, and they call us hostages. It's like that. Some of us relinquish control and are taken hostage. Some of us lust to no end. We take the drugs away and then we become, you know, junkie freaks of sorts. With all kinds of various assorted perversions. I know that you know what the fuck I'm talking about. Really, this is Narcotics Anonymous. You know, it doesn't matter the manifestation, what the manifestation is. Whether you use alcohol or you use crack or you use heroin or you smoke, you know. Nowadays it's 1997 again, and the scene has progressed. Now we have your magic carpet flyers, and your hula hoopers, your slam dunkers, and of course your space bases, along with your dragon chasers and your charm llamas. So you have all these people doing all this stuff, describing themselves like that. What do you do? I said today, what do you do? I'm a magic carpet flyer. I said, to hell you say, tell me what a magic carpet flyer does. Tell me what a magic carpet flyer does. So he travels. And, you know, I said it like, oh, man, you know, I'm a space baser. And some of you have had memberships in Crack Lane. Some of you feel you can't come back. We have a saying, come back from crack. Recovery will turn stress into rest. And if you're smoking crack, I'm afraid I have to tell you, I don't think you'll be going on a picnic. If you're on the methadone, you ain't going on the fucking boat ride. It's as simple as that. Because you'll be at your clinic, waiting online, begging for your dose. And they'll dole it out to you. They got waiting lists. And all these places designed to rehabilitate the narcotic addict. You come in, you end up mopping up. And they'll take your food stamps and your digit and shit. Try to get it afterwards. They'll tie it up for months. I know that that's not part of it, but this is what happens. This is very significant because this is what's going on with people like us. Then people walk into Narcotics Anonymous and they get the message of recovery and they become totally free. But we can't do it alone. We need somebody to come along with us to be a sponsor. If you're in a relationship and it's not working out and you need advice, you go to somebody that has a relationship that's working out. If you want to work and you see somebody successful in business, you ask the people how do you do that? A lot of us come in here and we romance has nothing to do with recovery. Although we think it does. Some people come in here and think it's the dating game. It's not. None of us have the right to flag anybody off from getting the message of recovery for personal physical gratification. I don't give a fuck what you disagree if you want. Nobody has that right. Because if you do assemble some recovery, you'll get more romance than you can handle. If you're patient enough to wait for it. You see. But you don't come in here and get somebody with 30 days and run your game on her. And then twist it all, and then she goes out. You're still in recovery, and she's out there. Nobody ever sees her again. I've seen this happen, too. All too often. That's just my opinion of observing Narcotics Anonymous in the last 15 years. And my life started when I stopped using. I wasn't living when I had that outrageous need to use. And I believed that once an addict, always an addict, was the way it was going to be, and I believed that for 28 years. Till I walked into a Narcotics Anonymous meeting, and miraculously enough, I stopped. And it was always them, they're doing it, or somebody was doing something. I stopped myself. I stopped shooting heroin and cocaine. I stopped drinking. I've stopped smoking that non-addictive weed. Shit, we always had that going. Now they call them blunts and woola-woolas and gula-woolas and boola-woolas. I said to the guy, what do you do? I smoke oolas, woolas. He said, really? He says, yeah, I smoke 20 woolas a day. I said, no shit. You're pretty thin, man. He was thin. He could hand glide on a fucking Dorito, the guy. I had to say that. I had to say that, and I was going to come here and be serious. Listen to this. He stopped using miraculously enough. He started going to Narcotics Anonymous meeting. The guy heard about the progression of the disease. Young kid. 22. He was in all these places, a lot of places designed to rehabilitate the narcotic abuser again. And he got a sponsor, somebody he could talk to, somebody with 5 years. And he began incorporating honesty into his makeup. Telling himself, honesty, that being honest in this frame of reference, I cannot do one of anything. I can't take one drink. That's honest. I'll drink 5, and then I'll drink 40. And then I'll smoke a joint, and then I'll go down to Alphabet Land and cop a bundle and an 8-ball. Then I'll go on the roof with a can of Orange Crush and a pack of Camels. And I'll start talking slow and scratching. Now I don't want to hear nothing. I won't care about nothing. I'll be encapsulated completely in my own thing. So we can't do that. We can't smoke one reefer. I have people die. Listen, although it looks bad, on the record and all about, me using 35 years, I'm not an addict. I said, of course you're not an addict. You had too many Clark bars. That kind of shit. The denial part of it. And again, one addict helping another is without parallel. I'm trying to tie this all in to the sponsorship situation, and I really can do it because I've been exposed to having a sponsor and being a sponsor. And then I gauge how the help that I received by the people who had the patience to be there for me. Simple as that. That didn't get uptight, because they come up with some crazy shit. Now, in the beginning, they wanted to play softball. I wanted to go fix. And they wanted to play softball. I said, what are you talking about? There I was in right field. I was sick in right field. My nose was running. I said, these motherfuckers are crazy. Let me jump over the fence and run downtown. Exactly what I did. Went to the connection. He said, tell me where you been, man. I got the good shit. I said, I've been at Narcotics Anonymous playing a ball game. We were playing softball. He said, stay away from those people. Don't go to the meetings. They'll fuck up your mind. But you know what? I remembered what they were saying. I remember things as I was sitting at the table opening a bundle and then opening up an 8-ball, I would remember what they were saying. You don't have to use, I heard. And I never heard that before. Miraculously enough, I've been in Synanon, on the methadone, in the penitentiary. I never heard that. If you don't pick it up, you won't get stoned. But Jesus, run that by me again, will you? If you don't pick it up, you won't get... Oh, shit. How profound. Oh, here. We admitted we were powerless over our addiction and our lives had become unmanageable. I said, shit, that's being kind to what the fuck is going on in my life. That's describing it with, with kindness. Because it was really a horrendous existence. And we hadn't have anybody we could talk to until we started talking about be my sponsor. That was a hard one, to tell somebody, be my sponsor. And I did that with a man, and the guy, although I haven't spoken to the guy in a while, a couple of years now, he was my sponsor for 10 years. And I have a network of personal friends that I call all the time. Of course, it's been thinned out with the virus. I'd just like to commemorate this time for my friend Paulie D., who passed away in December. My dear friend. Somebody I would call up. And I had a friend Bill I used to call up all the time. And I had another friend, Red, I used to call. And they're all gone. And this is part of it. And it's about accepting. And it's about not bickering with your petty differences, because you really don't know who's going to be here tomorrow. We're in the grips of a very, very awkward situation, very different. And in the beginning, there was none of this. In the beginning, we used to celebrate recovery and celebrate blinking. They asked me what I wanted when I walked into that meeting. I said, one day. I want one peaceful day. Because I got off twice, drank a 6-pack of Old English, and smoked about 10 joints or blunts or whatever the fuck you want to go, and breezed on in. I tell you, I didn't walk in, I moonwalked forward in. Stoned out of my fucking mind. I was numb. And they were serious, them guys. Hey, by the way, they're all here today. They're all here today. The people that were there that first day, they're all still here. And there was one guy there that said, everybody will be going out by this time next year. You'll all be out. Well, what happened was he went out there. Because when the rest of us found out we could stop using, we stayed with it, no matter what. And I've seen friends of mine lose loved ones, their mothers, relationships, all kind of catastrophes. That there's no more of a profile of recovery than seeing one of your friends afflicted with a disease with a problem without a solution that ain't using. That don't want to use. And go out like that. There's no more of a message that anybody can give or get. That's the truth. So I began sponsoring people, not 10 or 15 people. I can't do that. I don't have enough to do that. I tell you, I can only sponsor 3 or 4 like that, you know. And I've had sponsees now for 12 years, 10 years, you know, 10 days. I got a guy 10 days. He wants to stop smoking crack. I barrage. Here's what I tell him. I'll meet you at this meeting. Then I'll send him a tape. And I'll get him a book. Sometimes a book will save your life. It will. You start reading it. You might start reading it. And all of a sudden you find out, holy shit, this stuff applies. You might get the message. Now, so many thousands of us got the message. Quite obviously, you can't stop using. But yet we have chronic relapses, people that continue. You see, the fabric of our society is eaten away by drugs. No shit, it's all over. You know, they had like this Operation Juggernaut. So they're going to crash all these crack joints in the city. They come up with 14,000 places that you can buy this shit in the 5 boroughs. That means you could buy the stuff anytime, anywhere, like that. This is where it's very, very easy to get, very easy to come by. Once you do it, it's all over. That's what I tell people. Although I never smoked it, however, I thought a simple speedball would suffice. That always seemed to do the trick. For me. That made me crazy enough, you know. I always had to do another one, and then another one, and then another one, and then another one, and then another one, then another one. So I come out the house. This guy told me in the beginning of it, but he says, well, we don't want to go to Narcotics Anonymous. I want to go to AA because there is no recovery in NA. It was way back. So he did. I come out my house. There he is collecting cans. Telling me, Tony, I lost my heart. I can't steal 200 cans and I got a bag. So I'm driving down the East River Drive and this guy jumps out of a refrigerator box with a squeegee and does my window. One of my guys. Can't stop, Tony, can't stop. So I take him to downtown Beekman Hospital. I know the head nurse. I say, Eileen, please help this man, and admit him immediately. So they take him up to the 4th floor. They take his clothes off, put him in a locker. He picks the lock, puts his clothes back on, runs down to the end of the hall, steals the high blood pressure machine, gets on the freight elevator, goes down to the 1st floor, goes over to Grand Avenue, offers it for $30, buys 3 bags, shoots him up, runs back, gets a pass to go up and see himself. He's in detox. So he steals every heavy machine on the 4th floor. In a week. So here's what Eileen tells me. Look, we want to help out and all, but please don't send anybody like that over here. Will you? Now he's out there. Living in a refrigerator box. This other guy got a little place by the highway, you know. He's got like a little box and a fence and one of those carts. That's how you can tell he's home, when the cart is tied up to the fence. You know he's in the box. You could get away with that shit today. Years ago, they think you were crazy. Things have changed. The fellowship has changed. The message is the same. Sponsorship is the same. The steps, the first step, to be honest with yourself. To tell yourself you can't do one of anything. That's all. Basic, fundamental. The second step will give you hope. There's hope in the room. I told somebody, how could you say that you can't use it if there's a whole room full of people here nobody's using? Years ago there was none of that. You didn't see any examples of people that are not using. So you had hope. We talk about faith, we talk about a belief in something spiritual. It's a spiritual program. Personally, I feel the spiritual part of it comes when somebody, I've seen people walk in hooked on methadone and get off the methadone and get the message. I've seen that. I've seen people with that desire to do it. And you could detect that immediately. When that desire comes, you're right there. You know what I'm saying? To help, to be supportive, to be a sponsor, whatever it takes. To have the people come and have some peace. I always talk about the peaceful afternoon now. A peaceful afternoon would be an afternoon not using, not having to sell your soul to the cop man, you know. And well, what am I going to do? I don't know. The phone rings. What are you going to do? I don't know. Ain't that beautiful? I don't know what I'm going to do. That's great. I got nothing to do. You know, my friend Morris, the murderer. That's what they called him, you know. He was a gangster, a right-on gangster. He told me, you know, Tony, to be honest with you, because I asked him for some money to come to Princeton, New Jersey one time. I wanted to flee the city because I sold to the man and I figured they were going to come and get me with a John Doe warrant, so I ran to Morris. So he said, Tony, before you run, make sure you're being chased. It makes more sense that way, kid. Because I was envisioning they were chasing me because all the cocaine I was using, I thought everybody was after me, taking my name down. I mean, it was uncomfortable. I had no peace. I went out in the street. I swore I was in the Valencia Hotel, and I told my crime partner, geez, they're on the fire escape. He says, if you keep this up, I ain't giving you no more shit. I says, now wait a minute, let's not get hasty here. He said, there is no fire escape, by the way. But I envisioned they were there, peering out, peeking out at me, come behind mailboxes, doing shit, write my name, Anthony, blah, 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 you. And they weren't even there. And I wrote this all in the fourth step. A lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. You know, when they said, here's what I did, one thing I did. When I wrote the step, the biography, I didn't leave nothing out. All the as much as I didn't want to tell about myself, I did. And as a result, I offed it. I stayed clean. I lost my girlfriend. I went with her 10 years. People ask me, why didn't you use it? Since I got 10 years. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't an option, although I was hurt. But it wasn't an option to go out there. I'm not going to lie to myself and tell myself I'm going to go to Alphabet Man and shoot up one time. What am I going to do? Have one drink? That's what a guy said. Crack addict. Crackhead. I said, you mean I can't have a cream de menthe? On New Year's? I says, a cream de menthe? You're not about a cream de menthe. You're about smoking the shit. You're about getting arrested. You're about burglary. You're about buying bust. You're about the penitentiary. It's not about a drink. A drink is a gateway drug. It'll lead right into the insanity. Smoke is a gateway drug. You smoke the shit, you're going right into the insanity. And there's some people that drink and smoke and they swear they're different. They're the same as anybody doing coke and heroin, the same shit. I got a guy sticking up Jamaican pot stores, a kid. I says, you know, by the way, I don't know if anybody told you, but the life expectancy of somebody that does that is not very long. But he's obsessed with smoking reefer, and the shit costs so much now. Now they say the shit costs thousands of dollars. What's going to happen if you had a long reefer, Jones? I mean, it's not like you can get a pound for $500. Pound costs you a lot of bread. So it's going to bring you down. Some people here, as a kid, he was there. I went on a date. So I walk in. I sit down. I'm not into the therapeutic aspect at the time. I'm there to pick up the girl, go to the movies, have dinner. You know, one of them. There's a kid, the guy going with the daughter was in the living room, 25 years old. He had no hat on. All his hair was shaved off. He had 150 stitches in his head. His head looked like the Rapid Transit Authority railroad map. He says, I have no problem. I don't do any drugs, or I don't smoke any reefer or do drugs. I just drink. Do you think I should stop drinking? I says, not at all. Wait till I cut your fucking head off. You know what I'm saying? It's not the drinking. What the fuck? You only got 150 stitches on the top of your head. That ain't nothing. Totally insane. That's why you need a sponsor. I tell you, hey, look, then 3 DWIs, wanted in Jersey, wanted all over the goddamn place for driving while intoxicated. Alcohol is not a problem. That's what he's telling me. Because he don't use drugs. Got in more trouble drinking than he could ever did using drugs. So it doesn't matter what the manifestation is. The only thing that matters is that we could come to Narcotics Anonymous, we could hook up with a sponsor, we could talk about ourselves, we could feel better about ourselves, we could enjoy peaceful afternoons, we could treat our folks okay, we could be there for our friends, we could be in love, some semblance of being with somebody, we could lock in for the weekend, send out for the Chinese food, and get the videos. Some of us are not going to Rio de Janeiro. It's simple as that. I used to think success was going to Fort. We used to dream. We were dreaming in the basement of the House of Horrors. They called it the House of Horrors because everybody was behind by the table, by the stove, communal kitchen with long coats. And as we were walking up to score, somebody said, "This looks horrible." So the name stuck, House of Horrors. Catchy? So we were downstairs listening to the Christmas carols, putting this refrigerator against the door with the candle, saying, man, when we clean up, we're going to go to Fort Lauderdale and sell vacuum cleaners. That's what we were telling ourselves. Always dreaming of the day that you could stop using. Always geez, if I could only stop using. People would tell me, oh, you should stop, Tony. You got your whole life ahead of you. You should stop. You've got your whole life ahead of you. You should stop. You've got your whole life ahead of you. Then they stopped saying that. By the time I was 40, they stopped saying that. They said, you still using? But I didn't know how to stop. Not that I didn't have the desire. I didn't know how. Then, fortunately enough, it had to be by the grace of God, I stumbled into one of the first Narcotics Anonymous meetings in New York City. Don't ask me how that happened. It had to be by the grace of God. One of my dear friends came to the house. I had a bundle and an 8-ball. I said, man, you're right on time. I'm going to bang up. Come on, I got something for you. She said, no. I've been clean 3 years. I said, how in God's name did you do that? She was terrified because I had the shit laid out. She left this flyer and left. And I did up the shit. I said, what the fuck are you talking about? I never saw her walk out on no dope and coke. And sure enough, I picked the flyer up and said, if you think you got a problem with drugs, come to this basement. So I did all the shit up and went down there that Tuesday. I told you, I breezed in, moonwalking forward. I was lit. I was out of my mind. Bent, ossified, wasted. They were the words they used then. God knows what they use now. Now they use other shit, Oblique. Somebody told me they were oblique the other day. I said, will you describe obliqueness to me, please? What does oblique mean? My God. Somebody said I was stressing and fiending. Somebody said I was one better than that. I was gooling. I said, okay, you say so. The hell you say. You know what I'm saying? All this crazy shit. And I walked in there, and somebody got up there and said, if we admitted we were powerless, they were reading over our addiction, and they asked me after that, are you powerless over heroin and cocaine? I had to tell them, yes, I am. The shit gets me in the grip. Every time I use it, I lose control of myself. I was never able to stop using if I was on the street for almost 30 years. And I always looked at other people that did stuff, and I wanted to envy them because, we'd be in Bronx County looking out the tier, and this guy would pull up with a Bonneville convertible with his girlfriend and walk to the Yankee Stadium, see the night game. There we were locked up. And I'd say, man, look at that. My crime partner would say, hey, look at that chump. I'd say, what are you talking about? We're the ones locked up in here. He's going to the game. Of course, he didn't know, but he wanted to clean up too, but he never got the message. See, we got out and then got off on the roof, and there was no ledge. He walked right off the roof. And then when we looked 5 stories down, he was down there. And that's what happened to him. That's about addiction. And there was no sponsor. There was crime partner. Now we have a sponsor that will talk to you, that you could call up anytime. My guys on my network is cool. I could call them up and, hey, and not be, what do you think I should do? What do you think I should do? And okay. Well, what's your opinion? And most of my guys listen to what's happening. Some don't. The ones that don't, it's okay. Then you've got to find out for you, experience it, because you can't give that. I can give you the message, which is my thing. But if you don't want it, then what can I do? I mean, there's nothing. So we're there for other people, and we talk about faith. And we had no faith in the beginning. We had no faith. Then we started developing faith. So then listen to this. I kicked the Jones in the room. I stayed there long enough for me to start to throw the withdrawal symptoms off. But I was shaky, and I was obsessed. And they said the obsession would lift from the freedom from the bondage of an addictive obsession. And that was me. So then about 3 months later, I remember I got this Mickey Mouse job, and I got paid, and instead of going to cop, I went to the meeting. Then when it was 11 o'clock, I remember the day. I remember, man, look, it's 11 o'clock, and I didn't think about using. And I had money in my pocket. Amazing. It never came back. I'll tell you why. I kept going. If you be an addict, a dope addict, and a cocaine addict, and you pick up reefer and drinking, the obsession's coming. And you're going to deal with that obsession. The only way we can go is one way, and that's totally. And it says it in the book. It's not about a V. It's not about a Tylenol 3. It's not about a Budweiser. It's not about none of that. It's about not changing your mood. It's about talking to your sponsor. It's about going to the meetings. It's about caring about the fellowship. It's about being there. I can't pay back what was given to me. I feel good. Although my life didn't turn out the way it is, I don't feel bad. And even when I don't know if you could get this, even when I feel bad, I feel good. Somebody asked me the other day, I was laughing my ass off. They said, what's the matter? I said, I'm depressed. But it's okay. But it's okay. I can have a good time driving down a country road, listening to the music, being grateful that I got some wheels. A few bucks in your pocket. It dawned on me now. I used to say, man, when I stop, I'll become a millionaire. Well, you can't tell by my bank account. But it don't matter. I've seen the people that chase money, property, and prestige end up nowhere with nothing. losing it. I've seen people drift away and become obscure and come back and wonder. Very difficult to come back. Not because NA won't let you back, but because you won't permit yourself to come back. Because we're here. There are some of us that will be, vindictive and shit, but the majority will say, it's great that you're back and do it, good. None of us are doctors, none of us have the answer. All we can do is answer for ourselves. That's the truth. You can't be, sponsoring, 90 people. You might as well open up a clinic. Start listening to everybody's, story. Yes, you can. There's people in this room that I drove. You can stop using. There's freedom there's freedom in recovery. A freedom that we've never known before. And then when we do find it, it's so good to us that we continue to do it and don't want to give it up. So we talk about faith, a belief in something spiritual, something we can't see and we can't touch, but it's a spiritual thing when somebody comes in and gets the message and stops using. Let's stop there. We talk about trust in another human being with the exact nature of your wrongs. No holds barred. Tell them whatever happened. You're not going to shock anybody with this stuff. The guy told me, this guy was reading this thing to me, I tell you, he thought I was going to be shocked, I told him, well, let me tell you a little something what happened to me one day. I'll tell you what I did. One addict helping another. The guy's clean, by the way. That's the bottom line. To be clean. We talk about willingness. We talk about humility. We talk about perseverance. We talk about restitution. We talk about service work. We go into the traditions, too. We talk about unity. We talk about equality. We talk about integrity in the second. About our trusted servants, not our trusted serpents. We talk about service-oriented recovery opposed to recovery-oriented service. To recover enough to serve properly rather than to serve and have no recovery. That's why there's all this arguing going on all the time. And people say, I don't want to go in there. Fuck that. I remember one time we had a fight in the beginning of a cake. We had to suspend the meeting or we're going to kill each other. Everybody was fighting, and then one guy said, then one guy came out with, let's fire the cleaning man. We were giving the guy $5 a month, this guy. Fire the cleaning man, they said. I said, well, then you clean up, motherfucker. Because everybody was like, oh, man, and going left field, thinking this way. When a body of Narcotics Anonymous service people sit down, and most of them think the same way, many things get accomplished. When you have all this bickering, what? Easy does it. Let's say take it easy. Easy does it, take it easy. What about take it easy? Let's do take it easy. And then all this fight, and then nobody wants to get involved. People walk away. What the fuck is this? I'm spending my Saturday afternoon in there. You need a psychiatrist in there. Because everybody's ego is running away. I'm the chairman. I'm the chair. I'm the chair. I'm the sofa. I'm the end table. I'm the bedpost. I'm the chandelier. But as you progress in recovery, this gets less important to have the title and more important to get the work done. The people I've seen work for Narcotics Anonymous, they're here. Then we have people, unfortunately, I hate to bring this up, I'm out of time, the profiteers. Don't endorse anything that's not Narcotics Anonymous. For God's sake, please. We got all these people, I got all these production companies and boat rides, and they're doing retreats, and they put all the money in their pocket, and there's no meeting on Rikers Island. And there's 22,000 prisoners there, over there. And this is an atrocity. Because we're about the message, and they refuse to provide the fellowship that was provided to them. And that's the truth. This is not about money, and it's not for sale and owes nobody a living. And that's the truth. I just become overly enthusiastic about it. I'll tell you what. In conclusion, I got to conclude now. I'm out of time. So listen. So what I do is I work for Narcotics Anonymous as best I can. We give the message away. 9th step. We do institution work, commemorate it to somebody that's not here. Okay? Because we can't make amends to everybody. They're gone. Right? We touch base, crucial identification. To identify is very important for us. Because if we can't identify, forget about it. I'm telling you. Then all of a sudden, you begin to drift. And if you don't keep vigilant, be vigilant about it, it's going to go. And then you don't go to meetings, you forget that you're a member, you start talking out of the side of your mouth, you hook up with people that ain't involved, they don't know the life. Yeah, I went on a date and a girl said, I said, well, I don't drink. She had ordered a drink. I said, you have a drink. She said, what are you having? I'll have a club soda. I don't drink. She says, you don't drink? I says, I don't drink. I don't smoke cigarettes either. And I don't use drugs. And I could come to Atlantic City, don't bother me. I'm not into that. All right? So she said, you don't drink? Do you have a problem with alcohol? So I said, well, kind of. You see, when I drink, I break out. In jail!
Right.
So it's not about a drink. I can't tell myself after this time that I can take a drink. I'd have to be crazy. And it looks so tempting, and they come on, Zima, Zoom. Lime Zima. Yeah. Gee, I'd like one for my taste buds. Where you going with that? O'Doul's, non-alcoholic. I had 40. I said, how much of that shit did you drink? I drank 2 suitcases of O'Doul's. Want to mind fuck yourself. Come on, we can't do that. Accept it. The people that I found that do not accept it are people that go back out. There are those that are incapable. They refuse to accept that. So, well, I just smoke a joint. That's what Vinny, that's what the kid told me. Look, it's not the alcohol is not a problem. Heath believes we know better. We have it written. You can't. Total abstinence. So I accepted this, and I gave myself time to adjust to living without using. Then I became comfortable with it. Then I became less afraid. And the more you're in recovery, the less shit you take. If you can make it, fine. You say yes. If you can't make it, you can't make it. That's why I told someone, I don't have to explain to you what happened to me. I told her, you ever been in a straitjacket? Because I remember I woke up one day in a straitjacket in a Lincoln hospital, and I told my friend, my God, the walls, they got rugs on them. We in a mental institution. They're going to think we're crazy. Here's what he said. No, they won't. The next time they open up that slit in the door, look sane. It was a barbiturate-induced stupor. We got busted. We didn't know what we got busted for. Here you go. What's the charges? Shut the fuck up. I didn't have to explain that to her. Where I've been, the things I've done in my life, about drinking, about using, about smoking, about shooting up, about sniffing. Because once you're a shooter, you ain't sniffing it no more. And I work with a whole lot of, well, now they call it, years ago it was, I'm a snorter. Now I'm a sniffer. I sniff. Have a toot? Have a toot. 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 Toot, toot, tootsie, goodbye. Toot, toot. I'm happy in recovery. I'm grateful that I'm clean. I love Narcotics Anonymous because it gave me a new life. I've been at it a long time and still want to go at it. I don't want to die anymore. I haven't told myself I want to die. Oh, he said I want to die. I wish I was dead. I haven't said that, no. You know, I don't want to do that because every day is a vacation day that I'm not using. So I've been on vacation. And here comes the springtime. So I'm going to be walking down 2nd Avenue, you know, enjoying myself. And if I meet somebody along the way, it becomes more interesting. What a nice turn of events. I was hiding. I was on the lam. I beat my friend, a murderer, for a bunch of dope and coke. I was in a room hiding. I was there for 2 months. All by myself. My nephew was the only kid that knew where I was. He became my confidant. I picked up the newspaper one day. It said, Lucius Society of Singles dance here. So I put on this I shot up. I got off. I drank some gin, smoked some joints, and I breezed into this, it was right near the place, to this dance, and the maitre d' said, and now the ladies will ask the men to dance. So the first thing I said was, nobody is going to ask me to dance my raggedy ass. Had my button popping. I had these moonwalker shoes, Dr. Kildare shoes on. So this gal came up and said, you care to dance? I said, I'd love to. I was lonely and desperate and very, very uptight. I was hornier than a madman, too. So we dancing, and I'm trying to be charming, you know, without slurring my speech. By the way, I stationed myself near the punch bowl. I drank the whole fucking bowl. I just kept down the hatch. It was gone. There was nothing in there. I said, where the fuck is it? It's gone. It was this big. I was still standing. So I said, how about dinner and a movie? She said, fine. Next week, so all that week I was like a flood of... Put on this jive shirt, you know, like this. And I got off twice, drank some gin, smoked some joints. My nephew came in and said, hey, Uncle Tony, where you going? I said, well, I got a hot date here. He says, I got some mescaline barrels for you. Take a couple of them. Put them under your tongue. Don't let them get on the enamel of your teeth. They'll rot your teeth out. I said, that's my boy. So I ring the bell. I'm ringing the bell, and I noticed that, you know, there's the doorway. It seems to be moving, mobile. And I noticed this. Every time I blink my eyes, it's a different color. Chartreuse, orange, purple. It's far out. So she opens the door, pretty as beautiful, absolutely stunning and gorgeous. I'm kind of intimidated by her, but I'm never going to say that because I'm not supposed to be afraid of women. I'm one of these guys from the Bronx and all that. But I'm scared. I want to be cool, but I've already did up so much shit, man. I'm going up and down at the same time. So we breeze into Lucky Lil's table for two with a harbor view. They're piping in a Mozart. It was Mozart, classical stuff. In the Bronx, it's Mozart. But it's Mozart. So I think to me, it sounds like Smokey Robinson. So we sit at the table, the waiter comes over, gives us the menu, I take the menu. All of a sudden, the print starts running off the page. She said, you all right? Now I'm on the soup, I'm all in the soup and shit. Then there's all stuff moving on the table. The raisins, the California raisins came out. Oh, shit. She got up and left me there. She said, I don't like the way you look. You look stone out of your mind. I'm embarrassed. I'm leaving. And I said, of course she's leaving. I'm a piece of shit. That was then. Frame of reference, we come right back in today. I meet a nice girl, a nurse. We go downtown. I go to pick her up, I buy flowers. I'm in my right mind. Functioning on all 8. I'm pressed. I got a nice car. I got bread in my pocket. I don't drink, and she respects that. I don't smoke reefer. She respects that. I like that. Because I don't want to be with somebody that's got a... So anyway, we go out. We have dinner. I pull back to the house. I says, it was so nice. And you don't even have to invite me up. Just maybe we could go out next week. She says, oh, no, come on up for coffee. Next thing you know, now I'm fiddling with the music. What would you like to do? How about taking our shoes off and dancing on the rug? Listen to this. I had a wonderful time. I left there. I felt great. I thank you for this recovery. That I could do this and be in my right mind and enjoy this and begin to enjoy my life and not have to sell my soul to the cop, man. I was telling the story before. The guy asked the connection, hey, that's a nice jacket. I said, take it. Then I was freezing. So I went to the Chinese restaurant and stood by the coat rack. This guy came and hung up his coat. He went to sit down. Then he was chasing me down fucking Broadway. Hey, my coat! Got my coat! So we all know that. I got a good memory. A lot of stuff comes back to me. But the thing that happened to me was I remember the beginning of my recovery and how it progressed and how I feel about it now. So in conclusion, be a sponsor. Be a sponsor for somebody. No kidding. Get out of yourself. Be a sponsor. Be there for somebody. Somebody come and ask you to be a sponsor, say okay. I will. And that means that you commit yourself. And that's what got me here today, and that's why I'm eternally grateful. And with that, I just want to say it's a privilege to address a group of Narcotics Anonymous all the time. All the time. Because you know that I know that you know, we all know each other. There's no hiding. We don't have to sling shit at one another. Some of us are going to make mistakes, but who are us to judge anybody? I don't expect anybody to come in and drop being prejudiced, but don't bring it into recovery. Take people as they come, one at a time. This is part of it too. There are no recovering bigots. It's difficult. I'm telling you, it's like being a gangster on heroin. Try it. I mean, you just can't pull it off, because it will interfere with your thing. So understand that. I just want to say that I'm grateful for the opportunity to share. Rather long-winded. As you accumulate time, you get more and more. You got more and more to say. You know. So, and I want to just leave with the memory of my friends that have passed, and have passed with dignity. You know, I met a guy. I had a friend of mine in the village. He died. A dear guy. Anthony, his name was, and he had a beautiful wife. I had a friend of mine in the Bronx, and he had a beautiful wife. His wife died, and my friend died, and these two met. And now they're going to get married. They told me this last. I said, "This is great, a happy ending, a happy ending." Because I asked them, "Are you happy?" They said, "Yeah." I said, "Good." You know what I'm saying? So you never know what's going to happen. Don't quit before the miracle happens. There's a whole lot of stuff coming down. Yeah, I had a guy, he came in 2 months ago, looked emaciated, was dying. He walked in the other day, he gained 40 pounds. He said, my excuse to use has been taken away. Started taking the medication, he come back. I said, wow, beautiful. So it's happening. You know, so we don't have to feel hopeless. I don't want to get emotional, you know, I really don't. But I love you, and I want to see you make it. If you make it, it tells me that I could make it. Thank you.